Hi guys, welcome to our channel. This is Bhavya, this is Harpreet. If you are a freelancer or someone who is just curious about starting an agency or a new business, this video is for you. Just to introduce ourselves very quickly, we've been together since 2013 almost. We started with freelancing. In 2020, we took the decision to finally quit our jobs in the middle of COVID and start this agency. It's been 3 years that we've been running Grotto, and the biggest milestone for us so far has been buying this beautiful office, our dream studio as we call it. And the studio is a testament of our growth so far.
So before even beginning the video, you must be wondering why we should even trust these guys. I'm a top 3% UX designer talent globally, and I'm certified by Top Talent. So our team also won GD USA award for one of a crypto mobile application design that we did.
To add to our credentials, our clients actually belong to 40 plus countries globally, and we have proven our quality and work standard for international clients in the last 3 years. Harpreet has also mentored 50 plus UI UX designers to help them through their careers, but the goal with this academy is to go even further and reach the masses with the sort of experience that we have gained through this agency.
So some of our top clients include KPMG, Policy Bazaar, Aditya Birla Capital, and Tata AIA. So before you even start your agency journey, the first step that you have to take into account is start your freelancing journey. Primarily because you need to have a stable income in order for you to reach the next stage. So we reached at the conclusion of starting our own agency when we were able to secure at least 3x of what I was earning through my freelancing journey.
So if you were to ask us why is this step one, we would suggest every person who's even thinking of starting a creative agency to first practice what you preach. Secondly, freelancing also teaches you a sales mindset, and you know how to secure clients, how to work with clients, approach them, price your services. And there's so many infinite skills you can gain just through freelancing alone. First, when we started our journey, Harpreet has a very strong profile on freelancer.com. He is still rated number 1 in the UI UX category when it comes to freelancer.com, and he has a top rated plus profile on Upwork. And to be very honest with you, that is pretty much the reason we were able to start this agency. So highly recommend freelancing and building a stable income through it. Let's get to step 2 now, basic branding. Now this is one thing people get confused with the most. Should I set up a website right away? Should I build a brand book? Should I get meaning to my logo before I start? No, you don't need any of that. You just need a strong portfolio. If you're starting a creative agency, whether it's Behance or Dribbble, use any of these platforms and set up that portfolio. The next step is to think of a brand name, logo, set up your basic social channels like Instagram, LinkedIn, and don't go too deep into setting up an entire branding theme for yourself. An underrated advice is getting testimonials, and especially video testimonials. That can be a game changer for you, because in the world of AI and internet, having someone verbally speak about their experience with you can get you way more clients than you can think of with just the text testimonials.
So when I started my freelancing journey, I still remember I delivered my first 3 projects free of cost.
In fact, I still remember during the 2020 lockdown, we set out to set our Upwork profile. It is very new, and how we found our first client was through 3 months of consistent bidding, and then we were able to get a client who was only paying us $50 for 2 weeks worth of effort, but we did it anyway because we wanted to get an Upwork review, and that is literally how today we have a top rated profile on Upwork. So that is the value of a reputed platform review or a video testimonial. Let's talk about point number 3, which is your very first hire. Now, when you think about starting your agency and hiring that very first person, it can be a little nerve-wracking. So here are 4 crucial points to remember. Number 1, do not think of investing in an office space right away. Try to cut down costs as much as possible and work in a remote setting initially. Number 2, when it comes to finances, do not invest or hire someone until and unless you have at least 6 months of salary expenses saved in your bank account. Number 3, do not go for interns, as you would not have the time to train anyone to scale. Number 4, try to delegate work to someone who knows the creative skill set you're selling to somewhat degree, so that you can delegate most of the work to them.
So here's a pro tip for you. You should always be hiring someone from a reputed freelancing profile. Either it can be on Upwork, Freelancer, or Fiverr. Always remember that the freelancers are always looking to get good reviews. So they would be willing to give their best when they have a review at stake.
In fact, even our very first hire was a freelancer from a reputed platform. So always remember that when you're going for your first hire. Now, as a new agency owner, you may be wondering who to hire first. The number 1 advice here is don't go for full-time employees. You have to keep your commitment to the bare minimum, and you want to hire good contractors. Like I said, don't go for offline contractors, but a vetted freelancer. Now, how it works is you set up a contract with them and try to productize your services. For example, in our case, we're a UI UX design agency. So we paid the contractor X amount for let's say 5 website screens that they would design for us in Figma. That way you're just protecting yourself and saving a lot of money on any future expenses that may come if you don't like their work. Only move to full-time hires once you have saved enough money in your bank account, because it is a long-term commitment.
So as a next step, let's talk about the business model that you should move forward with. In any agency culture, there could be 3 different types of commitments that they usually work with. Number 1 is a fixed engagement, where you provide a fixed cost based on the amount of requirements or the specific type of requirements the client has. The number 2 is a retainer engagement, where the client is not sure about the exact requirements. So on month-to-month basis, they get back to you with specific set of requirements or functionalities they want to add. Number 3 is an hourly engagement. It's more or less like an ad hoc requirements that clients gets back to you with.
So the 2 key metrics every agency owner should be aware of is ARR and retention rate. ARR is annual recurring revenue, and that is a key metric which any investor or generally anyone would ask you if you're running an agency, and you can only maximize it by increasing the number of retainer projects that you have. Second is the retention rate, which is a crucial metric because you can only increase it by retaining your clients and increasing your client success rate for as long term as you can. So for example, if you're a social media agency, your retention rate can be increased by getting projects or getting clients who need month on month services. For example, 6 social media posts every month. So that is how you retain that client for a long term. If you're a UI UX design agency like us, SaaS platforms or web apps are a great way to retain clients because SaaS products take a long time to develop. So we have retainers running for over 1 year, 2 years, where we're consistently working with those clients.
So let's talk about compliance and documentation now. Let's just say you have started your agency and you're able to generate more than 20 lakhs of revenue in Indian currency. So once you reach that level, you need to get at least a GST certificate from the GST department, and that should be pretty straightforward. You can apply on their website and you will be able to get that within 3 to 4 working days. Along with that, you can also hire an accountant. You can find some local accountant near you and maybe get started with that.
Let's talk a little bit about when you scale and you're, let's say, 1 or 2 years into the agency game, then what do you need? So number 1, you definitely need some sort of an employee labor law consultant or someone who has knowledge of those things for you to have strong employment contracts, offer letter terms, and to protect you from any sort of fraud. Usually an HR can also take care of these things if they are experienced enough. Otherwise, you can always hire someone and outsource that. Second is you should obviously keep that accountant that you have and probably get someone with more expertise as you grow and scale. And if you still want to learn a little more on what sort of documents you need based on the number of employees, I will attach a screenshot right here for you to go through. This will tell you every detail you need about PF, gratuity, or any other document that you need to have based on the number of employees that you've hired. Now, before I move further, you must know that as an agency owner, your journey from here on will involve like office setup, hiring, sales, and marketing. That is pretty much everything you'd be doing. And let me walk you through a little backstory before I move further. Back in 2021, when we thought of expanding and hiring more contractors, we were actually facing a lot of rejections from candidates and future employees because they did not trust our brand enough. At that point, we had moved into a co-working space, but it was not convincing enough for someone to join our company as a full-time employee. And hence, that was the eureka moment for us, which made us realize the importance of having a physical space, the importance of brand building, and the importance of sharing your vision over with others. Then at the start of 2022, when COVID was still in its full spring, we started looking and hunting for office spaces at a very bare minimum rent that we could afford at that point in time. And we finally rented an office for 10 people and got our first set of employees. That moment was honestly very surreal for us because we had a team working for us in an office and we finally had a brand called Grotto which we could see in front of us. So honestly, that made the journey pretty exciting for us.
So when you're looking for your first office space, you should always consider renting a space as compared to buying it. Because renting is anyway cheap and you're just starting it out, you won't be having a lot of fun. So next is the location of your office. You should always look out for spaces that have good location and has good connectivity to public transport. So this ensures people are easily able to commute to your space.
The next is the size of the office that you should go for. Essentially, when we started, we went for a 10-seater office and we thought it would be sufficient for 1 to 2 years. But we eventually had to buy an office space just after 1 year because we had funds saved for it. So we would recommend renting an office which would be sufficient for at least 1.5 years in terms of the hiring that you're going for. Recently, we bought our dream studio and we set it up and designed it all by ourselves. And I have to add here that an office space is meant to boost productivity, especially if you're a creative agency. So please put a lot of thought into the elements that you're adding, the colors you're using, because at the end of the day, the office represents your brand and anyone entering your office should know your vision almost immediately. Next, let's talk about the major question that everyone has: how to scale and get more clients. Now, I will keep it very short in this video because this is a vast topic and we will create many more videos around it. But there are only two ways to get more clients. One is outbound and one is inbound. Now, the methods that I'm talking about here are not just theoretical. They have been tested by us and proven way of getting more clients. One thing that I almost always hear online is a 3-step way to be successful or the easiest way to get clients with no skill set. I feel that is all bullshit. There is no quick hack to get clients. It takes a lot of energy and effort to get a client on board, close them. So please do not listen to generic advice online, and that is our entire goal with this academy, to give you no bullshit advice. So the outbound methods usually include bidding, which is on freelancing platforms, outreach, which can be done through LinkedIn or any other platforms where your client or target audience may be present, by directly sending them messages. The third method is cold email marketing, which is a proven way of how many agencies have been getting clients through automation softwares like Apollo, Instantly, etc. Now, when it comes to the inbound methods, you have to, number one, set up a website which showcases your work, your vision. You have to invest in a good website and push more and more work in the form of case studies onto it. Number two is social media marketing and SEO. Both of these are very vast topics, but a proven way to get inbound clients. Other than that, a very, very important and underrated way is to get referrals, is to retain clients and upsell your services to them. That is pretty much how 80 or 90% of the business will be generated as you move forward and scale. Pro tip: building client relationships has to be your number one priority once you actually get a client on board, because you cannot keep onboarding clients month on month. The goal is to work with 2 clients instead of 10 clients in a month, and rather sell high ticket services and build relationships rather than working with them in a bulk approach. Next step. Let's talk about finances, expenses, investment as an agency owner. Now, this is a common question, and when you start, the best part about running a service business, starting as a freelancer, is that there is zero investment. That is pretty much how we have been able to remain bootstrapped till now, and we have been running a profitable business since day one.
So let's talk about some of the common expenses that will be there when you start your agencies. Some of them include the salaries, rent, maintenance, electricity, and maybe some losses from the projects. So in any service agency model, a profitability of 50 to 65% is anyway possible. And you can achieve that by working for international clients on a retainer projects and delivering exceptional work quality.
Next, let's talk about tools, softwares, automation, processes, and systems in your agency. Now, as an agency owner, one founder or one person needs to prioritize this, because this is what is going to help your business really scale up quickly and save hours and hours per week from your time. Now, if you were to ask me what are the tools that I need initially, to be honest, it's very subjective. We have so many AI tools coming up, and as an agency owner, I would just keep saving anything that I come across. I have a huge database that I go through every week to see what my agency could benefit from, and then if I can invest in it or not, I take a decision accordingly. If I talk from the hygiene level, as an agency, you need a project management tool, a CRM that you work with, a social media management or scheduling tool. A meeting note taker is always helpful, and obviously the most important is all the creative tools, which is the Adobe suite that you invest into. In our agency, we pretty much use only Figma as the creative tool, and all the tools other than that we have invested in, I will put a list right here, and feel free to take inspiration or references from here, and I hope it helps. Step, let's talk about hiring. Now, I feel that this topic is so underrated. When I was doing my MBA, human resources was not even spoken of so much. But right now, when I'm running a business and I talk to other founders, hiring is the biggest pain point that everyone goes through. So when we started, number one, where do we look for candidates? How do we hire faster? How do we reach out to people, make them convert? What are the offer terms? There are so many questions that pop up in one's mind, and we will make more videos about it. But for now, when you're hiring for full-time people, I can give you some quick tips. Number one, basic communication matters, and that is the top reason why candidates are rejected in the first go. So try and automate that process somehow by making them fill a Google form or sending you a Loom video that can save you that initial time, or go for a quick telephonic interview. Hire an HR to do that if you can, and that will quickly tell you if that person can communicate well or not. Number two, for a creative agency, it's very important you give them a short test assignment. Now, a lot of people won't always do it, but you have to always experiment with this approach, because an assignment will give you a quick idea whether that person is suitable for your agency or not. Number three, tools like Test Gorilla can help you test the technical knowledge of the candidate, something that we came across last year, and it really helped us evaluate technical roles and skills that we needed. So again, a great tool that you could. Due diligence and background checks is also very crucial when you're hiring, whether it's your first employee or your 10th employee, because you get to hear everything about that candidate from their past employer, and it helps you avoid a lot of red flags before you take the decision to fully commit to them. Next is also how you take interviews. That is a skill set you need to develop over time as a leader. And when you're interviewing, you can always ask questions around the fact that why are they motivated to work for you? If they were made CEO for one day, what would they change in your business? And try to see if they're a culture fit or not. We have had so many bad hires just because they were not a good culture fit, and things get really ugly later on. So try to avoid that from day one.
So next, let's talk about building a team. So as a leader, you always have to motivate your team, no matter how the circumstances are. There will be situations where you have a lot of pressure on your head, but being a leader, you don't have to reflect that on your team. You always have to show the best side of your every day so that they always keep feeling motivated. So let me tell you very frankly, getting work done from someone is not easy. You just have to trust them, give the best shot, and always make sure that they're delivering from time to time. So when I started delegating my design work to other contractors, it was very difficult for me. For every designer have a different style of working, and in order for me to ask them to copy my style of working, it's very difficult. So I gave them a space, I gave them some references, like let's just start by replicating such designs, and then basis on that, they were able to get the direction that I was referring to. By following this practice, where I used to design the first screen of the project for them and setting up a basic design system, they were able to replicate the remaining screens and create a consistent layout altogether.
The key point to remember here is, instead of giving someone macro projects, try to give them small tasks to work on, and you have to be their biggest teacher, biggest mentor and supporter, and not just take them as their employees. Till date, we call them our team, and they are truly a set of people working for you tirelessly from 9 to 5. So, that is the spirit by which you should lead a team and handle a team. Let's talk about SOPs and automation in your business. Now, as a business owner, there's a lot of repeated work that you're doing on an everyday basis. The goal is to get rid of that as quickly as possible because your time is money. Now, how do you do that? You take a bigger project, break down it into smaller tasks, and create Loom videos or create documentation on how to perform each of that task step by step. It should be as simple as teaching it to a 5-year-old, and you create a folder for different departments with these Loom videos. You share that across, and that is how you train people almost immediately on the repeated stuff that you are doing in your business. For our business, we started with this approach by creating small documentation, but now as we have advanced, we have created proper training material for different departments in our business, especially the design team, so that they exactly know our process, how we work with clients, what is the SOP that we follow for each clients, and so on. Now, some stuff you cannot teach others, and that is where automation comes in. For automation, there are multiple tools like Zapier, Make.com, which are super underrated and which I'm just discovering as a business owner, which are game changers. Especially with the advancement of AI, OpenAI, you're able to do so much stuff and save so much time. You don't even actually need to hire more people if you can learn those tools. So upskilling yourself and learning automation is key. Some of the things you can automate in your business is client onboarding, your outreach efforts, your marketing efforts, and there's an entire plethora of YouTube videos around this topic, and we also plan to dig deeper on this in coming videos.
And that's it, guys. There's no rocket science. And that is exactly the path that we followed from scaling from zero to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Please do know that we have covered these topics very briefly, and each of these topics have much more nuance to it, which we can cover in more such videos. Our only intention is to provide you with real, no bullshit advice that we have learned from our experiences and the challenges that we face even today. And if you're a freelancer who's struggling to get clients, a student who's just curious about starting an agency, a side hustler, or someone who's looking to quit their job, this is the channel for you. Don't forget to comment down below with any questions that you have. You can subscribe to this channel and also follow us on Instagram at Grotto Academy, where we will be posting quick tips around the agency and freelancing side of things.